Last week, federal investigators raided the apartment of Rudy Giuliani. We are going to be talking about the who, what, and why. Welcome back to Legal Briefs. I'm Wes Austin. I'm a lawyer with too much time on my hands, obviously. Rudy Giuliani is Trump's former personal lawyer. He was also involved in a lot of the 2020 election lawsuits. He was involved in trying to find information that has to do with the Ukraine and President Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden. So is this whole thing kind of payback? Is it somebody going after political rivals? Or does it have nothing to do with that? And as you may recall, Rudy Giuliani, he did not get a pardon from Donald Trump. Could this be something that the feds are just using to try to get at Donald Trump through Rudy Giuliani? I don't know. Those are some questions to ponder as we go through this. One of the search warrants for Giuliani's devices said that the possible crimes included violations of the Foreign Agents Registrations Act. So this law was passed in 1938. It's also sometimes just referred to as FARA, as in Farrah Fawcett. Sorry, it has nothing to do with Farrah Fawcett. Anyway, this act says that you cannot lobby the U.S. government on behalf of any foreign governments without first disclosing it to the U.S. government. And what the federal government is saying, the FBI and U.S. attorneys, is possible violations by Rudy Giuliani included him lobbying the U.S. government on behalf of the Ukrainian government. I believe that's kind of the basis of what they are saying he may have done wrong. So one question is, are these alleged FARA violations the only crimes that the FBI and the U.S. attorneys are pursuing, or do they actually have other crimes in mind and they just didn't want to put these on the search warrants and they're just using this FARA violation as something that could get them the search warrant, but they really have a number of other things that they're actually working on. So that same morning that the FBI raided Giuliani's apartment, they also executed a search warrant on another attorney, Victoria Tensing, and she was a lawyer close to Giuliani, and she also had dealings with the Ukrainians involved in the search for information on the Bidens. Now, in asking yourself, is this a legitimate prosecution of some crimes, or is it a case where there's just one political rival going after another political rival? I think the duck test is the best test to use, and that's where you ask, if it eats like a duck. No, that's not how it starts. One theory out there is that the feds are looking for evidence that Rudy Giuliani may have been pushing to have the former ambassador Marie Yovanovitch removed in exchange for getting information from people from the Ukraine about the Bidens. So that's one thing that's being floated and people are talking about, and they might be trying to get information, any communications between officials from the Ukraine and Rudy Giuliani that has to do with Marie Yovanovitch. Now, Rudy Giuliani has strenuously denied any wrongdoing. He said he hasn't violated FARA and there's no wrongdoing that he's aware of. So back to the duck test. If it mates like a duck, then no, that sounds dirty. It's not mates like a duck. So we've talked about the why they executed these search warrants on Rudy Giuliani's apartment and office. Now let's talk about the what, the search warrants. First off, why did they go for search warrants and not a subpoena? Because Rudy Giuliani is a lawyer, and a lot of the information that he has is going to be attorney-client privileged. It is very rare that they will execute a search warrant on a lawyer. It sometimes does happen, so it's not impossible. For example, they did execute a search warrant on Michael Cohen, another one of Trump's lawyers, and he is now actually in federal prison for 3 years, I think for tax evasion, campaign finance fraud, and lying to Congress. Lying to Congress? Come on. Congress can lie to us, but we can't lie to them. That seems like that shouldn't be a thing. Anyway, don't mean to get distracted. So the federal warrant had to be signed by a judge. So the judge had to agree that they had probable cause, that they would find evidence of a crime or fraud. And I also think there had to be a showing that Rudy Giuliani would not comply with the subpoena. So they had to have shown that. And I don't know, that seems, I would hope that only in extreme circumstances would they execute a search warrant on an attorney's hard drives and information, just because there's going to be so much stuff that's attorney-client privileged. The search warrant versus the subpoena seems like an issue. I don't know whether it was unconstitutional or not, but I would like to see what kind of proof they had that if we don't go in there with a search warrant, Rudy Giuliani is going to destroy evidence. That's, I guess, what it's really going to come down to. Plus, how are people in the U.S. Attorney's Office not going to be tainted by this attorney-client privileged information? So they take it all. They get it all, whether it's the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office. The feds have it, okay? Now, I know they're going to divide it up and say, okay, you're the team who looks at the stuff and you determine whether it's attorney-client privileged or not. And then their buddies sitting in the office across the hall or wherever, they're not going to look at it. There's not going to be any leaks back and forth. Are you sure? That just seems like, come on, there's going to have to be some sort of leakage. I know that word's disgusting, but I think we're going to have some leakage in there. In the information age we live in right now, where everything is in your email, Google, Dropbox, Facebook, everywhere, all the time, do the feds not already have all this information? I mean, is it possible that they already have all of it and they are just seizing it to see if anything had been deleted? I don't know, that's just one possible theory. So if the feathers repel water like the feathers of a duck, no, that's too complicated. That's not. So now let's look at who and try to figure out who is responsible for pushing this whole thing, who's behind it. So this is an organizational chart from the Department of Justice website. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. Attorney General at the top, that's Merrick Garland. The Deputy Attorney General right below him, which is Lisa Monaco. Then if you follow this line down, that goes directly to the FBI and the U.S. attorneys. So if we just kind of simplify this chart, we have Audrey Strauss, the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. Then we have the FBI. They're kind of at the same level on this, in this particular situation. Then right above that, you have the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. The Deputy Attorney General, she was just barely confirmed at the end of April. So I think we can just have Audrey Strauss, the FBI, and Merrick Garland. Oh, and above Merrick Garland is President Joe Biden. All right, so who is responsible here? All right, let's ask that question. I did a little bit of digging, and the New York Times had reported that the DOJ had requested a warrant to raid Giuliani's apartment last year, but they were denied by senior officials in the Trump administration. So to me, in looking at this, because the Times had reported that the DOJ was trying to get the search warrant last year, it seems to me that this had to originate with the U.S. Attorney, Audrey Strauss, or with the FBI. One of those organizations had to be really pushing this. So when they got Merrick Garland in as the new AG, he okayed it, or one of his people close to him okayed it. I mean, if they're going to be raiding Rudy Giuliani's home, I would think Merrick Garland is going to be the one who says, yes, go ahead, right? But it seems like it's being pushed down here at the FBI, U.S. Attorney level in the Southern District of New York. Now, again, I don't have any inside information. That's just my guess based on the information I've seen and from reading every article that I can get my hands on. So back to the question, is this one political rival going after another political rival, trying to use this prosecution in a weaponized way? Okay, I looked up the duck test. All right, here it is. If it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably, actually, you probably would just need to ask what it is. Because it seems like in today's world, it might be inappropriate to call it a duck. I think you might need to, I just don't want to offend anyone. I don't even know if the duck test works anymore. It's been around for 100 years, whatever. It's been great, but it might be it might have just passed its usefulness at this point because it's just going to be offensive to a lot of people. I won't use it anymore. I won't use the duck test. Anyway, my thinking is that it seems like this originated in the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI in the Southern District of New York. It seems like they've been pushing on this for a while. And it doesn't really seem like this is coming from the top down. The top down, the top, Merrick Garland, he didn't stop it. Should he have stopped it? Well, it doesn't look really nice. I mean, it looks like you're going after Donald Trump's personal lawyer. And it kind of looks like one political rival going after another political rival. So I would hope that Merrick Garland at least gave some serious thought to this doesn't look very good. Do you have some really, really, really good evidence for something really, a crime that we really should go after? Because this looks not good. I hope he went through that kind of calculus because it doesn't look great. I will keep my eye on this and I will try to keep you posted. Thanks for watching.